There we go. But hello, and welcome to the Monday Manifest, unless you're in stream. Well, I guess if you're in stream, then it doesn't matter. You're here anyway, but this is for the people on YouTube as well. Yeah, I am doing a video about Cocoon Tide Pod. So, basically, you might hear Fallout noises in the background, because I'm playing Fallout while I'm talking about Cocoon. For anybody that doesn't know, Cocoon is a video game that came out, at some point. Just a second. I gotta, let's look it up. I should be somewhat, informed when I make these. But also, Cocoon confused me really bad. 2020. Oh, it's only like 2 years old. Okay, I thought Cocoon was a lot older. Sometimes when I play stuff on Game Pass, like, there are a lot of times when those games are really old, but I just never knew about them. Like, I'm not... Look, I'm really bad at keeping up with new games, let alone indie games. Because, you know, they don't obviously get the level of advertising as most AAA titles, but a lot of them are a lot better developed than AAA titles from release. Gosh, it got a lot of really good scores. Oh, it won a Breakthrough Award. I don't know what the Breakthrough Award's for, but Cocoon is really trippy. Like, and I mean that, I don't mean that in a, well, I guess saying something's trippy doesn't really mean it's bad. It just means it's kind of weird. And Cocoon was definitely very weird. There's zero dialogue in Cocoon. Like, there was no dialogue from start to finish. Not a, well, there were noises made by some of the enemies and things, but no, like, actual English words were ever uttered. It's all basically just kind of context clues. And it's a puzzle game. Because you're like this little alien insectoid thing. And you're just kind of going around doing puzzles of various types. Like whether you basically go around and you're collecting these orbs that have various powers. And you're basically trying to go into each orb, which is like its own little self-contained world. And you're trying to get through the puzzles in the orb to fight this boss, which then unlocks like an innate ability that the orb has that you use to get further to get the next orb. And there's a lot of Inception stuff because you put these orbs on a pedestal and you use this pedestal to go inside the orb to do the puzzles. And there's 4 orbs, and it turns out after you do the 3rd colored orb that there's a 4th orb that you were inside of the whole time. It's like a weird Inception thing, and eventually you get to the point where you can bring the orbs inside of themselves. And at that point, my brain just kind of stopped. It just kind of stopped doing brain stuff because I was like, this is a lot. This is a lot for my brain to deal with. But it was a very pretty game. Like, you go to different areas. Like, the first area you go to is basically like a kind of like a red, deserty wasteland with outcroppings and cliffs and stuff. And then the second place you go to is kind of a swampy area. The third area you go to, or the third orb you go into, is probably my least favorite because it was very, like, there are plenty of portions of the game where there's a lot of very organic looking architecture. And the third orb is definitely the most because it's got like little fleshy bits and stuff and things everywhere. And it's just, I was just like, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of this specific place, you know? I mean, granted, when you first, like, enter the world, you're basically birthed out of... I thought that thing at the beginning was the cocoon in question, but I think that the end of the game, you figure out... Like, honestly, I'm going to tell you right now. I played the game for 4.5 hours. I beat the game. I still don't really know exactly what was going on or what the intention was, because I just don't. I feel like that game was meant for people with a much higher IQ than me. But I'm also somebody who tends to like one and done games, so I don't put too much thought into it. Like I try to piece things together as I'm going through a game, but especially like a game with 0 words that's all about just like you going through and doing things and seeing stuff. I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. I just know that this character was just born and now he has a thing he needs to do, or they, I don't know. Who knows? If you were gendered or genderless, you're just like a little kind of bug-looking thing. And also, there was only one button you use the entire game. Like, I'm on Xbox. It was just the A button. And that's, like, you can't jump. You just interact with things, or you pick things up, and that's about it. Like, there wasn't, like... anything that you needed to do was always involving the orbs or something like that. Like, it wasn't really... There wasn't really, like... anymore. Like, you couldn't... There wasn't really a platformer in the traditional sense, because you can't jump unless it's a very specific spot that you press the button on, and then your character jumps to another spot. You know, it was... You just kind of follow along, and you get new like abilities depending on what orb you're using or what the little pad is that you happen to be standing on at the time. So it was a good game though. Like for what it was, I could see why it did everything it needed to do without saying a single word, which I always find really impressive. Did I understand anything that was really going on? Not really, but that's probably more on me. I feel like it's one of those games that's kind of left up into interpretation anyway. Like, you go through and everybody has their own idea of what exactly is happening, whether something's good or something's bad, or, you know. And there are plenty of games that do that, you know. So overall, it's on Game Pass, so I'd say if you're interested in puzzle games, Cocoon could be a good one to check out, and I don't know, maybe you'll understand it more than I did. I mean, there's plenty of games I don't understand, either because I'm just too lazy to put the time in to figure it out, or I just don't care enough. And in Cocoon, it's definitely I'm just too lazy. Like, there's probably some in-depth YouTube video out there explaining every little nuance and all that, but all I know is that sometimes you pick up an orb and it makes a crystal path appear, or another one pew-pews, or another one is mushrooms, and another one makes platforms become real or not. That's, I mean, I guess that's a pretty succinct explanation, really. But yeah, so Cocoon, quite good. I liked it. Would I play it again? I probably not, but that's more just because I like I said, I'm usually a one and done person, and that game, I think there's supposed to be a secret ending. I don't know how you get it. I mean, I barely, if you watch the videos, there are a lot of points where I barely even made it through the game, or through that part that I was in, because I was like, I don't really understand what this game wants me to do. But yeah, so Cocoon, it's good. Like, it's a good game. If you like puzzle games and kind of weird games, zero dialogue, definitely give it a shot. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming and listening to the Monday Manifest. I actually did it this week. Very short one, but that's fine. We beat Cocoon, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about the Nuzlocke next, because it's been killing me slowly, and I might actually finish it this week. We'll have to see.